I gotta be honest with you. When I first saw this story, I said I'm not surprised. Hunter College is a ratchet, overrated college that is full of, and I'm gonna be real, ratchetness exuded by white middle class people. I'm gonna say it. Now, if you're from the NYC area, whether you're from the 5 boroughs, whether you're from New York State, hell, if you're from Jersey, Connecticut, the tri-state, Pennsylvania even, you know what it is when it comes to Hunter, okay? Yes, it is competitive for some strange reason. Yes, the curriculum is rigid. Yes, they have distinguished professors. But if you are from New York City, and especially if you are a CUNY grad, you know how it goes down at Hunter. So this Jeffrey Parsons scandal, I'm not surprised at all, because you know why? This was going on when I was in CUNY back 15 years ago. This behavior from students and professors who was wilding out. The president of Hunter cannot control the students. If you can't control your student body, how are you going to control your professors? I've seen video footage of students running and charging into the professor's office so that they could get what they wanted. And they were white. You got a sprinkle of blacks tokens, but they were white. 97% of them was white. And they get what they want. Because you know why? Because many of them come from money. They're just the ratchets that couldn't get into NYU, nor Columbia, nor Fordham. That's why they're at Hunter. And Jeffrey Parsons, a distinguished professor who taught at Hunter, this dude basically was having cocaine parties. Okay, cocaine parties. And sexually harassing people to where he was pulling on people's clothes. Okay? And making not only fellow professors uncomfortable, but even his organization that he's had since 96, he was harassing them. So people were suing, and because of him, CUNY has had to pay over $1 million to settle a lawsuit based on his drug-fueled antics. So we're going to get into it, okay? Let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Miss Anna Little Cole. Thank you for tuning in to my channel on YouTube, on Spreaker. And yes, this content will even be uploaded on Anchor. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who's been riding with me through the years, particularly this last year with everything that's been going on in the world and so forth, including like the little personal stuff that I've been going through as well. And I want to thank everyone who has viewed and listened to my last content upload, over 100 views in less than a day. I just want to say thank you. So we're going to talk about this guy. I ain't going to even say professor. We're just going to talk about this guy named Jeffrey Parsons, who back in 2019, he lost his job. He basically had to step down because there was an investigation that was going on based on complaints about his behavior as a college professor at Hunter College. Now, I want to go into the back history of Hunter College. Hunter College started out as a normal institution, which was a teacher's college, and it was geared for women. Hunter College was one of the few colleges in the city that opened its doors to black women. So going into like the 1910s, black women have matriculated at Hunter, mainly for professions such as teaching, education. Then it was geared for nursing, and then social work. But Brown v. Board of Ed had to allow women to be admitted to Hunter. So they created the male's campus for Hunter, which was Lehman College. So all y'all who's from the Bronx, y'all know what it is, New York. And for those who don't know about Hunter, because it's mostly known in the tri-state area, I'm just giving that background. Hunter has a history of being very exclusive, even though it's part of the CUNY system with other colleges, particularly community colleges. Shout out to my alma mater, Birmingham Community College, my father's alma mater, City College of New York. They have always tried to be the elite of CUNY. It's a saying that Hunter is the college for those who couldn't get into NYU, nor Columbia, nor Fordham. So it's like the last resort. It's mainly white females that go to Hunter. Hunter is notorious for having parties that results in women being sexually harassed. There was an incident that a friend of mine had a friend who was a Hunter College student who dropped out because she was sexually assaulted by a man, and he was a white man, and her friend was white. And the guy wasn't even a Hunter College student. At Hunter College, you could go into Hunter College and not show a CUNY ID or any ID whatsoever. I used to go to Hunter so many times just to use their library. I was part of an organization at Hunter, and I wasn't even a student there. All I had to do was just smile at the guards, and I would get in. They didn't care. And the white people, they would just walk in. There was no safety measures whatsoever. Now, maybe now they might have it. Hunter College parties were worth millions, thousands. They even hosted a party one time with the Roots. They spent $2 million on the party back in 2004. That's how much money Hunter College has. And the students use it up. There was students on campus that was doing cocaine. Even when I was a CUNY student back in the 2000s. All the tea about Hunter. I could tell you so much more. If you, as a non-Hunter student who's a CUNY grad, I'll tell you everything, okay? One day on a podcast, on a story time. But right now we're going to focus on Mr. Jeffrey Parsons. So it says, according to New York Post, CUNY paid over $1 million to settle claims about Hunter College's professors' drug-fueled antics. The alcohol and drug-fueled antics of a star Hunter College professor cost the City University of New York $1.25 million to settle claims by by his aggrieved staffers, according to a report. CUNY and Jeffrey Parsons, a psychology professor and sex and drug researcher, reached the hush-hush settlement with 6 staffers who worked with Parsons at his Center for HIV Education Studies and Training, known as CHEST, the Chronicle of Higher Education reported. The Chronicle cited documents from the 2019 agreement showing Parsons and his husband, Christopher Hetiko Parsons, paid $150K of the settlement, which totaled $1.4 million. Now, 5 of the staffers cited emotional distress, with 1 also claiming physical assault and the 6th cited unspecified misconduct. The Post broke the news that Parsons stepped down from Hunter in 2019 after investigation into complaints about the professor's behavior. Among the allegations, Parsons engaged in the use and the distribution of illegal drugs, i.e. cocaine, at CHEST events and or with CHEST employees and CUNY faculty and students associated with CHEST, according to a document seen by the Post. I'm going deep into this shit. The probe was sparked by an annual staff party called CHEST Fest that in 2018 was thrown on the 2nd floor of the Stonewall Inn in the West Village. Attendees told the Post that Parsons, as was typical at such events, encouraged guests to drink. He then, without permission, lifted up the shirt of a staffer to expose the person's chest. The action ground the party to a halt and infuriated staffers who complained to officials at CUNY. Okay. But Parsons' out-of-bounds behavior went back far longer. A former staffer at Chess told the Chronicle that he went to Parsons to a gay bar more than a decade ago to help recruit subjects for a research study. The unidentified staffer said he witnessed Parsons openly perform oral sex on a bar patron and then tried to force the employee to do the same on someone else. Oh, this guy's a perv. One colleague said he saw Parsons snort cocaine in his office. He operated that office like a fiefdom. David Bimby told the Chronicle, if he wanted to do lines of cocaine on his desk, this is his office. This is his world. Parsons' photographer husband had been paid by Chess for freelance work for years. His Mindful Designs company I've heard of this company, has racked in a total of $656K from 2011 to 2018, according to a CUNY post, which said the work was cleared by a conflict of interest panel. Parsons hired top criminal defense lawyer Jeffrey Lichman, who told the Post, we categorically deny the allegations from disgruntled former Chess employees or others about forced sex, illegal drugs use, and the like. A CUNY spokesman said that since the Parsons settlement, it had taken substantial measures to prevent similarly toxic situations to make sure that all members of the CUNY community are aware of their rights and how to report sexual misconduct, and to train all of those responsible for receiving those complaints how to handle them with speed and sensitivity. Y'all got caught. Y'all got caught on this. Y'all got caught. But see, remember I said the students was doing drugs at CUNY? I bet you those students were tied to him. And by the way, at Hunter. And by the way, Hunter is very much known for psychology. Psychology is very popular at Hunter. Not like how it is at my daddy's alma mater, CCNY, City College. But many women that attend Hunter, they attend for psychology, education, and nursing. Now, I'm going to go back 2 years prior, because the Post, they also broke the story 2 years ago when they wrote about Jeffrey Parsons, and it says, esteemed CUNY professor quits after allegations of cocaine binges and out-of-control parties. So 2 years ago, he quit. And it reads, a Star Hunter College psychology professor and sex and drug researcher is accused of snorting cocaine at school events and throwing annual bashes that grew from low-key pizza parties into binge drinking and go-go boy bacchanals, according to sources and official documents. Jeffrey Parsons, the youngest ever distinguished professor at the public college and one of the CUNY system's highest paid professors, quit on July 3rd, 2 years ago, following a school probe that substantiated a May 2018 complaints by employees. So all these complaints, it was multiple complaints in May of 2018, which is sort of like around the time of the semester being over and graduation approaching. Okay. Parsons directed the Center for HIV Education Studies and Training, known as CHEST, which oversaw research on unsafe sex and recreational drug use. He racked in $37 million in federal grant money from 1997 to 2016. His acolytes dubbed themselves chesticles. How nasty. Every year he'd host a party he claims he paid for out of his expense account known as the Chess Fest. A former employee said, last year's bash is when his alleged bad behavior came to a head. The May 4th, 2018 soiree was held at the iconic Stonewall Inn in the West Village, where Parsons rented out the bar's second floor. The theme, rebellion. As he did at past events, Parsons encouraged attendees to imbibe. It felt like a hazing frat party sometimes. A former employee said, I almost felt uncomfortable at the office parties by the coaxing to drink. The party included a lip sync contest, and Parsons told 2 male employees to take off their shirts. He then approached the sexier of one of the 2. It undid the button of his pants, the ex-worker said. But the evening really went off the rails when Parsons allegedly pressured 2 people to keep drinking and then lifted the shirts of a worker without permission, exposing the person's chest and humiliating the employee. It was as if the host of a dinner party came down and had taken a pee on a pot roast. The former worker said, that's how shocking it was. He said Parsons tried to apologize, but to no avail. Furious and fed up following the party, employees complained to the college, which, along with the CUNY Research Foundation, hired a former Federal Department of Education official to investigate, says a CUNY spokesman. By the way, I worked for the CUNY Research Foundation. That's a whole nother story time that I will talk about that experience later on. I'm gonna talk about that. That's a whole nother tea. The 539,312 probe included more than 70 witness interviews, he said. Among the allegations raised was that Parsons engaged in the use and the distribution of illegal drugs, cocaine, at chest events, according to the May 1st final outcome letter viewed by the Post. The investigation concluded that Parsons violated CUNY's policy on sexual misconduct and on numerous occasions engaged in behavior that violated CUNY's drug and alcohol policy, the letter said. Parsons had been on paid leave during the probe, collecting his base salary of $240K a year. He could not be reached for comment. In 2017, his pay came to $363,283, including an $85,817 grant and a $39,200 in retroactive salary. His salary was the 5th highest in the entire CUNY system that year, records from the Empire Center show. Hunter renamed Chest, and it is now Pride, for promoting resilience, intersectionality, diversity, and equity. The CUNY Board of Trustees last month hired law firm Covington & Burling at a cost of $1.5 million to gear up a complex series of alleged violations of the university's policy against sexual misconduct and other CUNY policies, which involves multiple potential plaintiffs. A source familiar with the matter said it was related to the Parsons allegations. This is the second scandal in a year where taxpayer-funded CUNY professors were accused of misconduct and drug use. John Jay College is seeking to fire 3 professors over a sex and drug scandal first revealed by the Post. CUNY did not publicly acknowledge the latest scandal until Friday, after the Post asked about it. Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez sent a letter to the Hunter community saying a probe had found multiple violations of CUNY policies by Dr. Parsons. Y'all let this trash go on for almost 25 years, CUNY, Hunter. And I'm going to say why y'all let it go on. He's a white male who was a liberal. Yes, I said it. That's how much I know about CUNY politics. See, when I talk about something, I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to keep it a beat. CUNY is my alley. That's my alma mater. I not only was a student, I was also a student leader. I was an activist. I was involved in a lot of campaigns, even outside of CUNY in my community, with people who were CUNY alumni. CUNY runs deep. Many people don't know that CUNY is like the incubator for future politicians. The second mayor who's Black is a 3-time CUNY alumnus. Queensborough Community College, City Tech, New York City College of Technology, and John Jay College Criminal Justice. He's a 3-time CUNY alumnus. Okay? So to graduate from CUNY is a serious thing. It holds political weight. Even though we're not a Columbia University, we're not Ivy League, we're not a prestigious PWI. But when it comes to that politics, we hold heavy weight. Okay? This is telling that white male predators are protected regardless of their sexual orientation. He was protected solely because of his benefit and what he brought to the Chess Center. And I just think that name is so nasty, especially what went on. He brought this. Now, I actually am familiar with the whole company that his husband has, Mindful Designs or Mindless Designs. That's very popular in New York. Now, I will say this. When I spoke earlier about the cocaine that was going around Hunter, and the fact that this institution that he was the leader of, and he ran it, and it was his baby, I believe that he was the person that was running the drugs out of Chest. I believe that his organization was a front for drugs and sexual proclivities. I believe that the sex research that this man was having in the center for, whatever, because I can't even take the Center for HIV Education, Studies and Training. I believe that the studies that he was conducting those studies outside of Hunter. When he was having those parties at Stonewall and he was going to, he was forcing the guys to basically get drunk and pretty much, pulling on his shirt. He was studying them. He wasn't just doing that to get his rocks off. He was using that as studies, and they didn't even know it. And when the allegation of the man, which I believe, when he saw him go down on that man, I believe that he more than likely wrote that as a subject, coming to his office and probably using it as a student. Because if this was inside a Hunter that they're saying, that means that this center, many students go to centers, okay? If you're a CUNY student, you could go to a center. If you're a non-CUNY student, you can go to a center. But the centers are primarily open for students and those of the community. And he used those students and professors even to up the ante for his sexual proclivities and for drugs. I believe he was selling drugs. I believe that it was a portal. I believe that it was a front for drugs and sex. I must call it like I see it. And Hunter knew about it for years. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Y'all got to check that president. It's something that has always rubbed me the wrong way with the president of Hunter College. Okay? And the reason why it's been getting away because it's predominantly white and they're liberals. Okay? You can't be conservative and Hunter. You can't. They're coffee house liberals. I'm going to give you a story about Hunter and the BS that goes on. Back in the 2000s with the whole situation that was going on post 9/11 world, we would have like rallies where we would go to events and we would pretty much protest against the mistreatment of different people that was going on, because the Patriot Act, people's rights were being infringed upon. And this is around the time when I was coming up as a student leader. And it was BMCC, my college. It was City College. It was Brooklyn College. It was Queens. It was even some people from Medgar Evers. Shout out to Medgar Evers College. But the one group that we never took serious was Hunter College. Because once we was, talk about what we were doing, and it wasn't anything scary or anything malicious, they would back out. They would do all the talk. And then when it was time to do, which is protesting and speaking, they would walk off. But then they would try to take all the credit. And we would say, y'all coffee house liberals, y'all ain't claiming the work that we put in. And they was all white. And it was all liberal. And it was all from middle class families. They was punks, okay? But one other thing they were drug users too. Because I peeped it. Because I'll never forget, one time I met this guy. It was anything, because I'm not into white men. But I met this guy at one of the rallies. He was from Hunter. And pretty much I noticed that he had white stuff on his nose. I ain't say shit or anything like that, but I peeped it. He just didn't clean his nose, and he didn't have any friends. And I wasn't going to tell him because I wasn't his friend. I didn't even know the dude. And this was at a demonstration down near the park across from City Hall in New York City. Okay? So when I tell people that I've been already boots on the ground, demonstrating, protesting, and everything, I have. That's how come. So all y'all on YouTube, commentators that like to talk about what I've said, y'all don't like me, y'all don't like what I say, stuff like that, I got a history, baby, okay? And I know what I'm talking about, and I've seen a lot of stuff, all right? And this person right here, Miss Ann Little Cole, ain't no punk. She ain't no punk. Matter of fact, I'm very smart and I'm very strategic, okay? And this is why I'm happy that I never was a student at Hunter College. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I don't have a Hunter College diploma. I'm so happy I wasn't in a building with all these fake Hunter College people, these drug addicts, cocaine users, sexual proclivities, professors that are sexual predators. Oh my God. That's the one thing I could say. I never had a professor that was a sexual predator. Never. I am proud to say that. I never had a professor that was a sexual predator. These people, I bet you it goes back years with Jeffrey Parsons. And I bet you they're all men. And they're going to come forward. They're going to come forward. They probably won't get any money for it. The only ones that are going to get paid is the professors. Because the professors, a lot of them in CUNY are tenured. This professor was tenured. He was the 5th highest paid CUNY employee. Do you know the top CUNY employees make over $400K? They make more than the mayor. And the person that makes the most money is the person that runs the New York City hospitals. The 5th highest paid, $249K. That is literally that's literally about 6 professor salaries divided. Okay? And think of all the students that I'm sure, because probably didn't like his lifestyle and so forth, that reported it. And I bet you that the reason why this story broke, probably because I said May 2018. May is always the year, the end of not just the semester, but the school year that's approaching graduation. I bet you the students that reported him, as well as the professors, I bet you the students weren't getting those A's and those B's because he probably was approaching them for sexual activities and they declined. And it had enough of it. And they probably said, okay, you want to give us a bad grade? Now we go into the deans. And that's the reason. And also because of the Me Too movement. Because a lot of people, a lot of people don't know, a lot of those Me Too women that's involved in the Me Too era, many of them come from Hunter. They were adjunct professors. Y'all ain't know that. I spilled some other tea. They were CUNY adjunct professors. Have been. And it's an incubator because, remember, it's a women's college. So with women being historically at the forefront, of course you're going to have a lot of feminist movement. Like the organization I was a member of at Hunter, being because I was a CUNY student, I could be a part of it. It was a black women's organization. This is way before Me Too. This is the late 2000s. Many organizations have always been there that were focused on women. But because you didn't have Me Too, and because he's a gay man, he's part of a protected class. See, if he was a black man, okay, who was straight, this wouldn't have went on. It wouldn't have went on this long. But because of him being part of a protected class, and being a gay man gives you more protection than being a black man. I'm just going to, in America, I'm just going to come out and say it legally. There's laws. You know, he's just one of the bad ones. He's just one of those he's just a perv. He's a perv. And more importantly, Jeffrey Parsons needs help. He needs help. You know, it's a shame that a psychologist with a PhD who would take something such as HIV, AIDS, something so serious, sex education, and we use it as a front to have sex parties, drug binges, like being a pervert. You know, I would say a borderline, I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if he basically forced himself on people, even inside Hunter College. Sad. You know, I respect those that came forward and told their story and was just, you know, wasn't afraid. And I would just say that it's time for Hunter to have a new president. And I'm just glad I never went there as a student. And you know, anyone out there, regardless of who has, if you're a victim and anyone has harmed you, regardless what type of position they have, say something. It doesn't hurt to speak. You could stop somebody from harming a victim, the next potential victim. You can save a life. And this is how you save a life, by saying something and going to the right people and writing statements. You know, it's important. No one should use their power and influence to do anything like what Jeffrey Parsons did. And I refuse to call him a doctor. And this is your girl, Miss Analytical. I am signing off. I will be posting more commentary today, this morning, because I'll be up probably until about, I would say 6 o'clock, because I have insomnia. So I'm going to be up. I'll talk to y'all later. Take care and good night.